Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
This is Bob Bender. We're in the studio today with music industry executive, consultant, author Preshias Harris. We talked a little bit about Preshias in the previous episode, author of 2 books, I Know Countries, her other book, College of Songology, and you're the owner-operator of Nashville Music Line, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so we've been going over, in last week's episode, we've been talking about these topics of discussion, which to me are really good bullet points of what parents need to know when it comes down to my child wants to be in the music business. And this is something that you've created to help these aspiring young artists that are coming to Nashville, or maybe it's even LA or New York, what they need to know. One of the things we talked about previously, we talked about do your research, get help from music industry insiders, do surround yourself with legitimate people, do build relationships, and don't assume things. Let's kind of pick up where we left off. There are no easy answers to the music industry. This is a lot of hard work. And we talked about this in the previous episode, that you really need to work at it 365 days a year, with maybe the exception of Christmas or Thanksgiving or New Year's, depending what your family will let you get away with. But really, you should be passionate about this and applying yourself every day.
Yeah. Being proactive in your child's career can help also. What that means, every day, set aside time. Even if it's a good chance, number one, is for you to bond with your child. Number two is it's also a chance for the child to see your support and encouragement in their career, which is huge more than you can ever imagine. I'm just telling you. I remember my mother, I wanted to do the music business. I was 9 years old. She had a publishing company. I said, can I please do something? So she set me up a little desk, and I was filling out publishing forms when I was 9 years old. And I got to looking the other day, and I'm a BMI writer, and I asked that publisher, because I had no idea that my mother had registered me for BMI. I was like 9 years old, because I did have a gospel song on her record. I got to write with her. She would do the melodies. I would think of the words. I was really good at rhyming, but I couldn't balance. Oh, my God, I sucked in math. I still suck in math. But I can, do the percentages of songwriter splits like that. The biggest thing is that come to this with a realistic attitude.
Thank you. That's exactly it.
And do not tell your kids, this is going to be really hard. Don't discourage them, encourage them, but let them know that's a lot of hard work. Are you going to be able to do it?
Set
you want
some
to do
goals.
It together.
Set some goals, but make sure they're realistic goals.
Set some goals. Like, for instance, also family time, faith time, family time, and music time is the way I always try to do it. You don't want, what I try to do is, and I've seen this a lot, is I got a little girl now who was on America's Got Talent, and she was 13. She'll be 15 this month. Katie Lynn, amazing child. But I remember meeting her when she was 11 or 12, and her mother encouraged her, but did not discourage, like, if this is about Katie, what do you want to do? And she goes, well, I want to do this and this. So she was able to make decisions, and the parents, once again, they were in the think, do I do this? Do I do that? I said, let Katie be Katie. Let her go to school, be a normal kid. If opportunity comes up and Katie wants to do it, enter in the talent competition. Well, someone saw her in Texas and said, hey, I need you to get on America's Got Talent. They sent a video in. She got chosen. So I told her, once again, that's doors opening for you, that you let her make her choices. She has just ran with the ball. I've also had kids who are extremely introvert, but when they start playing a piano, it's almost like Beethoven. So the biggest thing is empower, encourage, and nurture. Like I said, always know that a realistic attitude, this may not work, and let your child know it may not work. But we take it one day at a time toward your career.
In creating those realistic expectations, realistic goals, get them in front of live audiences. Maybe it's an open mic night. Maybe it's a
community fair festival, or singing at church,
Because that will really speak volumes. Maybe they have a great voice, but absolutely zero stage presence. And you got to have both.
Got to have both,
to
yeah.
be successful.
Because Taylor, when she was first around, she wasn't the greatest vocalist. Her parents knew that her stage, because she was such a friendly, I remember meeting her when she was like 14, 15, and she just had this wonderful glow personality like Pollyanna. She really did.
Right.
And I knew that if they captured on that with her stage presence, she would be incredible. I never dreamed she'd be where she is today, because she was a little shy when I met her. But it goes to show, don't judge a book by its cover. And I'll never do that again.
Well, I think a lot of people, when Taylor first started her career, I don't think, maybe with the exception of Taylor and her mom and dad, I don't know if anybody saw how big of a skyrocket that was going to be.
Yeah, well, Bart Harbison did. He told me. He said, I told her parents, I said, you all just hang on for the ride. If she keeps going, because her work ethic, every day she would go in her room after her homework and just 2 or 3 hours of music. But her parents' rule was, got to do your schoolwork first and then do that. But Bart Harbison, he said, if she's working as hard on her career, on her music stuff as she does her career, on her education, I knew it. He said she had that look in her eye like, I'm going to do this. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. Another thing about the parents is a solid music career, a good foundation. Let them know it's okay if they want to shut the door and not do music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is where the time where you really have an honest thing with your child, an honest relationship. Always let them know. If they don't, anytime they want to stop, you're there. Because sometimes I've seen, there is a reason why they call them momagers and daddygers.
Yeah. Or a stage mom or
Stage
dad.
mom, yes. Yeah. Just remember now, make sure that you're building that good foundation, because this will give you and your child much more stability down the line.
And whose dream is this? Is it your child's dream or is it your dream? Because it ultimately has to be the one who's on stage.
Yeah, and I had a girl come to me. She goes, Mama P, goes, can you tell my mama I don't want to be a singer. I just want to play rock guitar. So I said, I will tell her. And the mother said, I just don't want her to lose anything. Here's the deal. I said, you keep doing this, you're going to push her out of the career and you're going to lose all the money you've invested. Let her be who she is. Well, she's been on tour all summer long playing guitar, not being the front lady. Amazing guitarist for her age.
And probably real happy doing
She's
it.
so happy. She's got her a new pickup truck. She's from Alabama. But so talented, And I said, if she wants to sing, she will. But right now, let her, that's the biggest thing, is just let your child be a child.
Next topic that we want to talk about here, I think is vitally important. Do not, and I'm going to emphasize, do not burn your bridges. That is something that, for some reason, people in this industry like to do, not realizing the consequences.
And I put down here, like I have, but it wasn't me. What it is, burned a lot of bridges. For instance, I will see a momager bidding against one person against another company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you really are going to be making it hard for your child in 3 or 4 years. Because this is a small 5 blocks. If you don't think you're going to pick up the phone and say, hey, I just had so-and-so's mother in here, and she wants to do this, but she said, but I know for a fact, didn't you tell me that's the same kid that you said that y'all were going to be working with?
Right.
And it was like she's passing her kid around like a piece of merchandise, and I went furious. She would come to me, and she would sit with me for 3 or 4 hours and pick, well, who would you call for this? And now my database is 8,000 people in my phone, and I have a lot of contacts. But I sit there after 20 minutes and I'm thinking, you're not paying me a dime, you're not even buying me lunch, and you're telling me you're taking my contacts out of my phone on who to call. And finally, after the second time she called, I said, I can't do that. You want to pay for me a meeting? It's $25 an hour. You can take my contacts. Mm-hmm. But I've worked 35, 40 years on my contacts. But then when I realized her daughter's been in town and she's at the same place except for a couple of records out that she was when the girl was 13.
Right.
Because the mother got known as a sneaky snake wheeler dealer. Don't burn any bridges, because the person that you burn a bridge at this might be head of the label next year.
And we just talked about this a little while ago, I think in the previous episode,
yeah,
with people like Doak Turner and Will Carter and Vinny Ribas, people like that have been in this business forever. You may have to come back around, and deal with them again down the road, and they're going to remember you.
Yeah, because I remember when, matter of fact, before he got picked on the shoulder to go up to New York, Randy Goodman, who's now president of Sony Nashville.
Right, yeah.
I asked him to listen to one person. In 2002, it was a guy named Buddy Joel. And he never got the package, but he knows why he didn't get the package, things like that. But come full circle, he knows me now as that if I bring someone to him to listen to or to pitch a song to one of his Sony artists, he knows that it's coming across true, loyal, and not because someone paid me $500 to get a song to him.
Right.
And like I said, I've known Randy's mother before I ever met him. Well, first time we met, I said, my name is Preshias Harris. He goes, are you my mama's Precious? I went, yes, because I interned for her at my interior design and got to interior design a trailer,
Yeah.
But yeah, come back, and I've watched him all through town. He let me give him Buddy Jules package. He watched me. I pitched an artist to him a couple of years ago that had the number, one of the top 10 wedding songs for the past year there, Blaine Howard. He let me pitch him to his label. So do not burn bridges.
And it gets back to building those relationships and keeping those relationships.
Well, matter of fact, the worst one I've ever seen was that I had a parent, one of my songwriters, big hit writer, sweet lady. She's in her mid-60s. She's had number one songs and stuff. Just always got a kind heart. She was working for an attorney, and she put some money behind the little girl that had won the talent competition. Mm-hmm. Well, we got the CD ready. She took her over to RCA. Joe Galante signed the little girl to a record deal. Well, the deal was, and everybody knew it, that the father would have to pay her back once they got the advancement of $5,000 or $6,000, where she had recorded the CD to get her deal.
Yeah.
Then once she got her advancement, RCA, that they have to pay this lady back, my friend back. The dad never did it. They spent the money. When Joe Galante found out the parents had screwed over this lady who put her heart and soul and sacrifice for this girl, he ripped up the contract. And I'm thinking, let me tell you, that made me think of him as huge. It just goes to show, you do what's right. They did right by your child, and now you're going to do wrong by her? Yeah. And it made me have so much respect for him.
We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to continue this two-part series here in the studio with Preshias Harris, talking about my child wants to be in the music business and the steps on how to get there and at least be successful in some aspect. You may not be a superstar, but at least you know that you've made most of the right steps to get where you are.
This is Jim Jesse, songwriter, attorney, and author of The Musician's Guide to Music Copyright Law, and you are listening to the Business Side of Music podcast.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
Hi, this is Vinny Ribas, the founder of Vinny Connect. Our goal is to ensure that you have the knowledge, the tools, skills, resources, and connections that you need to develop a profitable and long-lasting career in music. One way we do this is through these Business Side of Music podcasts. I'd also like to invite you to check out Indie Connect magazine, our free multimedia online publication packed with practical interviews and advice from music industry experts. Go to www.indieconnectmag.com. That's www.indieconnectmag.com. Let us walk with you and guide you every step of your musical journey.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
This is Bob Bender. We're in the studio today with Preshias Harris, author of a couple books, I Know Country and The College of Songology. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. You got to make sure you say it right.
I've had that title for almost 7 years.
When did that book come out?
It came out last May. Yes,
Okay.
May.
2017? Or
2017.
Okay.
And what happened is we went ahead and gave two old hippies the rights for 90 days. We wouldn't sell anywhere else but on Amazon.
Right.
But nowhere else in a store. And it was the top selling book for those 90 days out of their store.
Yay.
So it made me feel really good.
Very good. Preshias is also the owner-operator of Nashville Music Row. She's an artist consultant here in Nashville, Tennessee. And we've been having discussion now here on, helping your child who maybe wants to be an artist, wants to be a star. Some things, just some real basic steps, bullet points that they should probably take. This one is do be loyal, but not loyal to a fault. Explain that a little bit.
Okay. For instance, misplaced loyalty is not a good thing. For instance,
and we've both been there.
Both been there.
Yep.
I think the hardest part is about parents is understanding when to be loyal, when not to. I have a situation coming to me this week where a parent was trying to be loyal to someone because they thought that this company was a good company, faith-based, things like that. And the father was a pastor, and unknown to him that the reason why that the person was loyal to this father is because it made his company look good that there was an on-board pastor.
Right.
Was on the board of directors. Well, when the pastor realized what was happening, he was just shook. It shook him in his roots. So, but once again, be loyal, but not to a fault. Sometimes hindsight's 20/20, that's for sure. We've all been in that position. But when you see...
Well, how else do we learn?
Exactly.
You know?
And that's, again, you're never, ever going to avoid mistakes.
Yeah.
And here he thinks he's doing the right thing for his child, and he was doing it
In
out
his
of
heart,
love.
in his heart, and in his
In his
mind.
heart, in his God.
Yeah.
Once again, because for 5 years, almost 6 years, would have been 6 years this December, but they're, ending it. He had all these great visions, but after 5 years, nothing happened.
And
not one label meeting, not one publishing meeting, not one visit to ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC. But see, they didn't know, because they don't live here, that there's certain organization that needs to be a part of your career. And if you're not, person not taking to those organizations, you might want to look behind you and look at but once again, be loyal to a fault. If you feel, if it smells like poop, looks like poop, and floats like poop, it's probably poop.
It's probably not a Baby Ruth bar.
Not a Baby Ruth bar, unfortunately. My favorite. And the biggest thing that I want to, don't be blinded by fame. It was probably paid by 401ks, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Don't be blinded because this person drives a nice car and has a nice house. Because remember, it's short-lived. And because you've got to try to fight to keep that level of fame up.
I think that's important to not be blinded by fame, because, and you deal with that, as you said, momagers and dadagers, or as I call them, stage moms and stage dads, is, it's very fleeting. It's very short-lived.
Yes.
The rule of thumb, I was listening to something, Doak would probably appreciate this. A few weeks ago, they were saying that out of every 25 NASCAR race car drivers, out of every 25, only one wins.
Yes.
So the odds are not great. Well,
and that's Mala Bank.
and
Yeah.
and that's the same way it is in the music business. There's thousands of artists out there who are playing those open mic nights, who are playing those songwriters in the round, who have been doing it for 5, 6, 7, 10 years and have never gone anywhere, but they're still plugging away at it. There's thousands of those for every one of those Taylor Swifts or whoever, insert name there. Don't be blinded by the fame. It really comes back to what we talked about earlier. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of passion. It's just a lot of drive and energy.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I have, and I don't want the parents to think I'm being wah-wah with momagers and dadagers. I have 3 or 4 wonderful momagers in my camp. And the wonderful thing is they keep their kid in line. If they're on the cell phone writing session, I call the mom up, hey, I need you to be a momager, and tell her to put the cell phone away in the writing session. I rely on my momagers and my dadagers because I've trained them to do the correct way to be a dadager and a momager. If I see, and I have a rule of 5 rules of the mothers and the fathers, of anybody under age appropriate. Number 1 is look at your child's songs they're singing live. If she's 10 years old, she probably don't need to be singing The House of the Rising Sun, okay? Also, if someone approaches you and got a pinky ring on and tell them they can make your child a star, tell them, no, use my name. Take yourself out of the equation, because I got big shoulders. I can handle it. I have a 15-year-old, gorgeous little girl who looked like, just gorgeous blonde little girl. A man walked up to the father and said, hey, I can make your child a star. He said, well, good, because you know what? We already got someone in Nashville we're working with, and the man asked the name, and the guy told him it was my name. He goes, oh, yeah, you're with her. I'm not going to get near you. Well, he knows why. I probably got in his face for doing something bad. Mm-hmm. The father knew right there, the dadager. I said, that's the kind of dadager I want. It's like, hey, stand up, protect your child always. If you have a problem, I have parents call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have, what do I do? This is going on, stuff like that. And I want them, the biggest thing is about, blinded by fame is their child got a huge opportunity in Florida, and she'd already booked a gig to open it for Scotty McCreery. Mm-hmm. The radio station, we want you, you're great, we want you. Well, she'd booked a gig to play at a huge club there. And the mother said, what do I do? I said, well, you're going to come in professional. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to say, you know what? Be honest. First of all, don't ever, ever lie to get your child into something or out of something, because it will come back and bite you on the butt. I said, be honest with them. Said, hey, we've got a great opportunity to open up for Scotty McCreery, but you guys have been so good to us. Can we do this? What about if we can get a replacement band that night, and then we'll come back and play you a night for free? We'll just live on our tips that night. The club loved it. They got someone to replace them, and they got a free night of music. They didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
And the mother was like, oh, my God, that's genius. And I said, see, honesty is the best policy. So I just want to make that clear before we start toward the end, is that I love my momagers and I love my dadagers. But when I see a momager or dadager that's being a sneaky snake, nah. And there's 2 different types. There really are, just like there's 2 different types of people in the music business, good and bad. Same thing. Just remember that your decision determine your destiny for your child's career every day.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up with this two-part series we're talking about here, which is My Child Wants to Be in the Music Business. We're in the studio today with industry consultant and author Preshias Harris, who's written the books I Know Country and The College of Songology. She's also the owner-operator at Nashville Music Line here in Nashville, Tennessee. And you're listening to this edition of The Business Side of Music.
Hey, this is Paul Aldrich, and you're listening to The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Wow, I just joined the Music Starts Here community. This is a truly hidden gem for anyone in the music business. Whether you live in Nashville or anywhere else in the world, Music Starts Here is like a GPS for your music career. This is the place to be if you want to get advice and direction from some seriously talented musical people who have been where you want to go. Music news, events, and a great big community with resources for artists, songwriters, musicians, studio and tech, along with music business advice from pros in the industry, all on one site? Make sure you get your free profile now. Go to www.musicstartshere.org. That's musicstartshere.org.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
This is Bob Bender. We're in the studio today with Preshias Harris, the author of I Know Country and College of Songology, also the owner-operator of Nashville Music Line, artist entertainment consultant here in Nashville, Tennessee. We've really been going over, people can't see us in the studio, but Preshias did her homework, which I really like, and gave me a copy of, some of the topics of discussion when it comes down to My Child Wants to Be in the Music Business. And, we're going to wrap up this two-part series really, I think, with just some real simple things that people need. No one can promise to make your child a star. We've commented on that a couple times now. And you and I, we've both seen it. We've both heard it. People will say that they might promise you a record deal. And you know what? I think anybody can promise someone a record deal, but that's not going to make you a star. That just says, we're going to get you on a CD, and we're going to get you maybe on some radio, and we might get you in a couple stores or whatever. But that's not going to make you a star. How many, in the business you and I have been in, as long as we have, how many CDs have we seen sitting in boxes in warehouses that never saw the light of day?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm honestly, tens and thousands.
Yeah.
I just cleaned out some demo CDs that I've got. And I always have the kids bring me a demo because when they bring me a CD, I tell them why they shouldn't have labeled it like this. So I always have them to bring me a CD in our meeting.
Oh, thank you so much. I want to interject there because Debbie and I, when we were moving, I was going through boxes upon boxes of CDs.
I've been doing that.
And I'm going, there's no names on them. There's no phone numbers. It's just maybe the songwriter's name and their title of the song. And I'm going, this does me absolutely no good because I don't know who this person is, or I'm not going to remember. Because in my case, I get hundreds of these things, and you don't know what to do with them, after you've done them. Make sure all of your contact information
is done correctly
and
while you're pitching it.
And make sure it's evergreen.
Yes.
Make sure you have a real simple email that's not going to change a few years down the road. Make sure you got, as you said, a P.O. box.
Yes.
That's going to stay active and a phone number.
Yes, because the parents, let me tell you, once your child starts singing out, you're going to have every songwriter that's been wanting to be a songwriter for 30 years. See, like the guy that wrote Blue, he held on to it for years and years.
Wasn't that originally supposed to go to Patsy Cline?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he goes, there will be one day someone that's like that. And it was Leanne
Rimes, yeah,
yes.
which you and I worked on.
Yes, exactly. And but I remember seeing her. She actually, in the early 90s, she was 7 or 8 years old and had a little short denim dress on, red cowboy boots. And she was singing what used to be Gillies here before they did the roundabout. This is in the early 90s. And she beat out my boyfriend's band because kids win. Kids and animals always trump up bands, But then
I got to remember that, kids and animals. Yeah.
Always, I'm like, and then I remember of course, 5 years. So she was 7, so 5 years later, 6 years later, I just remembered her name because she wasn't even. She was a teeny tiny with a cowboy hat on. She looked like she was dressed up for Halloween. But she went in there and she opened up her voice, and I'm like, oh God, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
When she was 7, I can only imagine, But that's kids and dogs will trump you up every time.
Let's talk a little bit about demos because we did touch on that.
Yes.
If someone tells you need a demo to show how great your child is, run and do not look back.
Do not look back because your child will need to. Number one is you come to town, your child doesn't know what songs she sings. Are they age appropriate? Are you going to have to license those songs? Do you have permission to use those songs? Does she want to try to write some songs? So people that want to put you in the studio right away, run. That is one of the biggest red flags of all the industry in town.
A story that Debbie and I have shared in the past. We worked with an artist who had been working with someone, and he wanted this, I think she was 18 or 19 years old at the time, wanted her to sing Tammy Wynette's Divorce. And I'm saying to the parent, what does this kid know about divorce? Why are you putting this artist in this type of a situation? Once again, find things that are age appropriate. It's okay if it's first love, but it better be pretty innocent at that point.
Yes.
Because what is it you're trying to project otherwise?
Yeah, and I have a lot of parents that, my kids, I want to enter the talent competition. How old is she? And they'll email me, and she said she's 10. I said, well, listen to Ray Stevens, Everything is Beautiful, okay? Or they want to do Carrie Underwood, Jesus Take the Wheel. There's so many age-appropriate songs out there. Debbie Boone made a career on one song, You Light Up My Life, and
Which
that could
Leanne
be
Rimes
anything.
did, what was it, 20 years later?
Yeah. And I said it's classic songs, but I have a list of 45 songs, age-appropriate songs, that I've collected through the years that I hear in some of my old CDs. I'll go through and listen. I got about 5,000 I'm trying to go through now. And I hear, oh, my God, that's a great song for a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. Because if there ever was a teeny bopper in the mid-'70s with Bobby Sherman and David Cassidy and Sean, I was like, oh, yeah, Donny Osmond. Age-appropriate, I look really very, very strong at.
Yeah, it's important.
Yes.
Next thing, what happens on a TV talent show is a small blip on the music industry career chart. Knowledge, education, and an attorney is power. Now, we haven't really touched on that, but you do need an attorney. I always tell my clients, you need an attorney before you need a manager.
But you need an attorney before you could afford one.
Yeah.
But there is outlets here that will help you get an attorney at low cost. I found that out being a CA member.
Attorneys.
Reputable attorney. Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I got one of my clients from an attorney here in town. What happened is the mother, when she was 50, decided to adopt 2 little boys, 13 months old and a month old. Mm. And he grew up, used to sleep with his guitar. Well, he's 18 and wants to come to Nashville and start writing songs. He's got a great voice. He's got a baritone, I call it. And so she called the adoption attorney and said, hey, so-and-so wants to come to Nashville. And she said, I'm scared to death of all the stories, sharks and snakes. I don't know who to call. She said, let me call one of my attorneys that I trust in Nashville, Wayne Halper. So she called Wayne Halper, who is not scared of the devil, which I love it, because if you're ever going to get in a courtroom, you definitely want him on your side.
Yeah, you definitely don't want him on the other side.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
He saved me. But Wayne, he said, there's one lady I trust. He said, I know what she's about. He said, I know what she charges. And he said, you're in good hands. And he's been my client, was a year in June. And we're getting out there. And I told him he'd be on stage in 3 months. It was 3 months and 2 days.
Yeah.
But
that's close enough.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
And he said, there's no way. I said, well, the kids you're seeing at CMA Fest last year when I first met him, I said, these kids have been with me for 3 years. So they're going to be the better players. They're going to be the better songwriters. So, but remember where you're going to be in 3 years.
Yeah.
This time next year, I'd love for you to be working on your CD. He goes, really? Well, yes, but I need a year of you for you to get confidence built up in songwriting so you understand what's going to be happening once you get the CD done and why. We're still going through that. We met with a licensed person. But once again, the parents were sitting there going, oh, my God, and the mother's 60-something now. And she goes, I can't believe there's all this legal stuff. She said, I had no idea. I thought it was like it was on the talent show. Oh, yeah, and do not invest your 401k in your child's career.
I love that because, the odds are not in favor. And you're taking your life savings. If you can afford to do it, great. If you can't afford to do it, it's okay. There's other opportunities. There's other options. And there's nothing against hard work.
I know. I tell all my kids are poor. I do trade outs to get stuff for my kids done. This is why everybody Music Row sends me people because they know that I'm.
Yeah, you're telling us like Boulder Creek Guitars gets involved.
Yeah, Boulder Creek gives me my guitars for my kids who can't afford a guitar. DR Strings sends me 12 boxes every 3 or 4 months to give out to the kids who can't afford strings. Because if they can't buy strings, they got to pay a water bill. I jump in. Kaiser K-Post, one of my big sponsors, they send me Kaiser K-Post for my kids to help out because they know that they're not going to be sold on the internet. They're going to be given to kids. And I always hashtag them with my thumb up, take a picture, and send it to Kaiser.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is that, your kid, I tell my kids, you can write your way to a record deal.
Absolutely.
So if you're poor, don't have a lot of money, but if you got work ethic, you got the battle halfway done.
And if you've got some artistic knowledge, some artistic creativity, that's right there worth a 401k.
Oh yeah, I've got two. Matt, real quick, I got two parents I met through just being in the industry. One little kid, his name is Carson Deans. I think his little buddy is Mark Sakota, but he's a drummer, and he's just softly spoken like John Denver. He gets behind the drum set, and it's like, holy cow, it's John Bonham. And he made. Last year, Carson got out and he played Led Zeppelin, Ozzy Osbourne, just the licks. He doesn't sing. He made $2,500 in 3 days last year playing on the street at CMA Fest. He's a child prodigy.
Yeah.
So he hangs out with the little drummer and they make up songs together. So it's okay to encourage your kids, especially when they're 10, 11 years old, 12, to reach out to other like-minded kids who may want to just, if it's just a jam and have someone to confide in. Hey, man, I really want to do this music. It does help, you know?
I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago, and they reminded me that Alice Cooper got his start. They were a high school band, and they entered in a talent show and won, and that's what gave them the synergy to move on and become Alice Cooper. So don't be afraid to try anything. You know,
you never know, because like I said, relationships you make now is things that will carry you on.
And step out in faith a little bit. You know,
yes.
but be careful. And that brings us to the next question here: is always ask more questions than you think you should, which I absolutely agree on. And get industry references, and not online references, because you know what? You can't believe everything that's online.
And plus, people can make up stuff. I've seen them on there that I knew that person is already dead, but
good
they had
and
their
bad.
name on there.
Good,
Seriously.
Good or bad. Yeah,
good
absolutely.
Or bad.
And so before you put your child's team members together, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and ask, or meet people in person, and hey, what do you think of this person? What do you think of that individual? Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, and matter of fact, I've lost a client over telling them what I thought.
But that's okay.
That's okay. You know why? They come back 6 months later and said, you were right, I'm sorry. Can I come back? And I said, I'm full.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's that burning those bridges in relationships.
Exactly. Like, for instance, make sure all the legal papers are signed, from letting someone take your child's photo to designing their logo. For instance, if you were to take my picture, okay, that's your intellectual property. So I'm going to get a master use license because I'm going to use that picture on a record.
Yeah.
Okay. I worked with the Cracker Barrel with Teddy Gentry, Best New Nashville, and we got permission from everybody who took a picture that took a picture for the record. Everybody had to sign off that you can use my likeness in my work. So and so, I get photo credit, things like that. Because these parents don't realize that 2 years down the road, even though it was work for hire, that your child, let's just say someone took early pictures. Like Taylor's dad was a very smart businessman. He would make sure everybody signed off on anything they did for Taylor. So when they come back, nobody could come back once you became a superstar and said, hey, you owe me $185 for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
You know.
And now there's interest on top of that, and
right.
And I want a piece of the action.
And and especially work for hire, because you must present, for instance, down the line, if you do start doing all this, the label's going to want to get more involved. They want to pull some of the things that you've already got done in legwork, you and your husband or your wife has done for your child. You've got to show them that you have paid for these fees and that you own them lock, stock, and barrel.
Who owns it?
And they were work for hire, and they have no legal ties to the paid work.
I like this. Never let someone talk you into putting your child's voice on backing tracks. Backing tracks are something that's already been created.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a huge red flag. And say no to a $4,000 video shoot.
That's the cheapest one I've got.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, saying no, because is your child ready?
It could do so much damage. It could do so much damage, more harm than good for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if your child's not had any vocal lessons, if your child has got flat. Because anybody in the industry, and I will tell you, I was told by a record executive that he had his intern say, go out there and find me the next best thing as a songwriter, and the next big thing as an artist. And let me tell you, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Exactly.
So if your kid's singing off key, that's a bad weak link. So guess what? I have a list of, there's songwriters, there's vocal coaches that I've used several people in town. $450 an hour is a lot for a vocal coach. $450 an hour.
Yeah. My
vocal coach is nowhere near that, and I've got 7 people going to him, and he's made a world of difference. And I asked him, I said, how come you can't charge me $450 an hour like everybody else does? And I don't use vocal coaches like that anymore. Okay, if my kids can't afford a vocal coach, then we go a different route. I'll do a trade out. I'll do marketing for the vocal coach. In exchange, you get a lesson for my kid. But none of my vocal lessons are over $100 an hour. None of them.
Well, and in those days, it's like when we used to shoot music videos, and we'd spend $250,000. We'd get the helicopter shots in, and just all the bells and whistles and pyro that you could.
Yeah.
You don't need that anymore.
No.
You can. You're right. You can shoot a music video for a few $1,000s. But make sure you're ready for it.
Right, because like I said, there was one person people come to me and say, what do? I don't know what to do. My daughter is already doing her 6th video with this company. And it wasn't a video company. It was an artist development company.
Right.
And I said, are they all single? She goes, oh, no. We just needed something to do when we come down here when the songwriting sessions got canceled. So we start doing a video every time we came to Nashville. Oh, boy. I said, and your daughter don't even have 1,400 followers. What are you paying for the video? She said, well, we're getting a deal. We're only getting $2,500 for the video. I said, so let's just say that $2,500 for a video, and you've got 1,100 followers. So that's 50 cents a follower that you're paying for them to go like your daughter's video.
Yeah.
And so, once again, videos are not a good tool unless you're ready for it.
Exactly, and that's just it. Remember, a music video is a marketing tool.
Yes.
Really not anything
That's
else.
why YouTube just released their big platform. We got a huge seminar with YouTube and Spotify this month here in town. It's an invitation-only thing, and it's going to be Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. And they're going to be coming in to show us how we can utilize that as an artist and still make money off the music.
Yeah. Precious, it's been great having you on the show.
You, dear.
On 2 episodes here. We got a lot of groundwork covered. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, but hopefully it'll make, like I said, if one parent can save their child's dreams, their career, their 401k, it is worth every penny of it.
So the question next, how do people find you?
You can find me on Facebook, of course. Send me a message. I'm not on there a lot because my dad stalks me. And he's like, what are you doing at 2 o'clock in the morning?
And let's clarify it. It's Preshis.
Yes. Yes.
Right, yeah.
And I'm a life member of Nashville Songwriters Association International. I'm a member of AIMP, Associated of Independent Music Publishers, BMI, ASCAP, member of NARIS, which is the Grammys, and member of NATD, which is the National Association of Talent Directors. You can find me on the College of Songology. You can Google Preshias, Preshis, Harris, and comes up. And I write for several different magazines, and I also do a music songwriters educational blog, and I do all the country music blogs in Germany. I'm a media rep for that. And I do a Precious Minute country music show, and I also do the Y'all online broadcast every Wednesday morning on Y'all Magazine.
You just don't do much, do you? Well, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
You too.
As a listener, you know that the Business Side of Music podcast is free, but in order to keep it running, consider becoming a patron of our show. You can do this by going to our Patreon page on our website, which is www.businesssideofmusic.com, and click on the Support the Podcast button. When you become a patron of our podcast, you'll have access to material that you won't be hearing on our regular show, insight from industry leaders such as Preshias, that is designed for our patron members, and have the ability to purchase the Business Side of Music merchandise that you can find on our website at a discount. This is Bob Bender, and you're listening to this edition of The Business Side of Music.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Traci Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. Co-producer for the show is Vinny Ribas. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Los Angeles, California and Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.